Welcome back to TCG Dreamland. We are talking about more stonks today. And good news, there's some buys in this set, or this video, I guess. So we're starting off with the less interesting of the two, and then the more interesting of the two after. So Ikoria, very interesting set. Let's just look at the numbers. A box is currently $320, well above, the MSRP or intended price, whatever, because I guess Magic doesn't do MSRP anymore. 1 year return, 40.64%. That's actually better than the year over year for the stock market right now. All right. 3 month is only 0.89, and the 1 month, basically it's just flat. I mean, 0.02% is like nothing. It's negligible. But something to note, 8 boxes have sold in the last month. Not a huge amount, but also not bad. So there is demand for the set. Now, amount available on Tcgplayer is 47 boxes. The number of sellers is 19. This is pretty good. Now, these are collector boxes, so you would expect it to be relatively low, and it is. So now, packs. Pack price is $25, which equates to $300 for the 12 packs, which is less than a box, which is typically something I see as a negative. But we'll look at the returns here. 1 year, 26.67, and then it went down quite a bit, and then it came back a little bit. So your current, I mean, it's looking pretty good. Product on the market, $325. It's a little bit on the high end, not a huge amount. Number of sellers, 16. That's actually pretty low. So hits in the set, we're looking at Ghidorah, 50. These are all non-foil versions. You have here, this is Ozolith, the Ozolith, 38 and 32. All right, $37 is Mothra, and then you have Dranith Magistrate. So something to note about Ikoria is that this is, I think, one of the first sets where this is actually based off of a different IP. They got permission from another company to use the characters in this set. You've got King Kong, you've got Ghidorah, Mothra, which are 2 of the top 5 hits in the set, right? So those cards, this set is a little bit more resistant to reprints. All right? It's a good thing, especially nowadays, because Magic the Gathering reprints everything into oblivion if it's worth more than $20. So Ikoria, it's looking good. It has, in the last month, stagnated a little bit. It's slightly down, but it's an amount that's basically negligible. So over the year, what we had was a huge increase, and then it kind of plateaued, right? It's just been plateauing for a while. But even though this I see as a negative, I'm still going to say this is definitely not a sell. It's a good set. I would say at least hold. It is a very cautious buy for this set. I would not mind picking up a few boxes of this if I just had some money to spare. However, I do think there are other places that are going to get you big returns, because as you're looking at this right here, there was a huge spike and then it plateaued. So you may have missed out a little bit. If you are someone that already had this set, you're sitting pretty, but it had that big spike and then has plateaued. So, it's a very cautious buy. $320 for a standard set is a little bit getting toward the higher end, right? Standard sets, I think one of the most expensive standard sets currently is like Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and that's around $350 or $360. I think that may be one of, if not the most expensive standard set collector box, and this baby's already at $320. So you may see a little bit more upside, but there isn't a whole lot of room to grow. All right. So if you have it, I'd say hold it. If you want to get rid of it to get something else that may have bigger returns, you could do that. There's a good argument to make for that. But I don't see this set going down anytime soon. Let's say that. All right. I don't see this set crashing anytime soon because I don't see any reason for it to. All right. There's okay demand. The supply is relatively low and it's a little bit resistant to reprints. So I think it's a good set. Ikoria Layer of Behemoths, pretty good. Now, Jumpstart. This is OG Jumpstart from several years ago, around the Ikoria time, because I'm doing these all chronologically. So, current box price, $86.50. Your 1 year is up 8.75%, 1 month down 1.65, but that's basically nothing. And then your 1 month is up 2.23%. Now, this is something to note here. There have been 39 boxes sold in the last month. All right, for a set this old, that is really high demand. All right, but look at this now. Number of boxes on Tcgplayer for sale right now, 209. That is a lot. All right, and number of sellers, 45. That is also a lot. There is a lot of Jumpstart boxes out in the world right now that are sealed and ready to be sold. All right, so good and bad, right? There's good demand. There's also a lot of supply. All right, now we're looking at packs. $5.78 equates to $138.72. Obviously higher, not enough to warrant opening a box and selling the packs individually. Because to ship all of these individual packs, there's 24 packs. So that's going to be $108 to ship every pack individually. So not enough of a price difference to warrant opening a box and selling the packs. But the price, the per pack price equivalent is higher than a box price, which is something I like to see, right? For older sets, that's what you want to see. It should be higher, all right? Packs, 17.66% over the last year. Big increase, all right? 3 month, negative 1.89. 1 month, negative 7.73. More than 5%, less than 10%. You know, it's something to consider. Although, look at this, 28 sold in the last month, basically selling a pack per day. That is actually pretty good. I'd say that's above average. It's not great. You know, it's not 2 per day or more. I mean, there's some current sets, like for a while, when Lord of the Rings Special Edition spiked, we were seeing, 4 boxes selling per day on average, right? So just under 1 per day is not amazingly high, but it's good demand. But again, 550 packs for sale on the open market and number of sellers is 32. All right, top hits for the set. Rhystic Study. Now this one was reprinted, but actually after the reprint went higher, right? Rhystic Study is a good card. Next, we've got Craterhoof Behemoth, also reprinted and went down, but just a little bit. All right. Excuse me. All right, so next card, we've got Bruvak the Grandiloquent. I don't know how you say that. 26. That is down a little bit from its high. Exquisite Blood, 24.50. That is also down off of its high. Used to be in the $30 range. And Allosaurus Shepherd, we all know that that card was reprinted and it crashed horribly. It's less than half of what it once was. So, looking at this price here, and having been, because when I got into Magic was around this time, so I just have in my mind, more than a year's worth of price history. This is not even close to its all-time high, and this is less than it was, a year ago. I want to say, so I opened some of these on the channel about 3 years ago, and these were closer to the $100 mark. So this is down a pretty large percentage from 3 years ago because multiple of the highest hits in the set have been reprinted, right? Allosaurus Shepherd used to be $50, crashed and burned 50%, over 50%. Rhystic Study was reprinted, but actually went down slightly and then actually went up higher than it was, and then the second, third, and fourth cards in the set have all been reprinted as well. So based on the fact that even though the 1 year price history is looking good, that is because The reason for that is because these cards were reprinted and price crashed, and this price is now lower, very much lower than it was 3 years ago, but it is rebounding from the crash. All right. Now, you could make the argument that, you know, it crashed and so it's on its way back up. So it might be a good time to buy, right? Buy low, sell high. But I want to say even 3 years ago, these boxes were roughly $100. You're not looking to make a lot of money on these. Even if you, so if you look at it percentage wise, you might fool yourself, right? Because you're thinking, you know, even if this goes up to $100, that's a decent percentage increase. However, it's less than $15, right? If you wanted to buy this as an investment and then hold it for 10, 15, 20% and then sell it, you'd still only be making like less than $20. You'd have to buy a lot of these boxes to make any kind of decent money. Whereas you could just put that same amount of money in a S&P 500 index fund and make an average of 10% year over year for as long as you have it. So Jumpstart, I'm going to say, is a sell. I am going to hard pass on Jumpstart. I don't have any of it. I'm not planning on getting any of it. All right. Now, the ones that are a little bit more interesting: Double Masters, original Double Masters, and Commander Legends collector boxes. So starting off with Double Masters, box price $6.50, 1 year return 32.82%, 3 month 9.31%, 1 month 1.24%, with sales last month. In the last 30 days, 5 have sold. All right, product on the market, there's 37 boxes from 16 different sellers. Now, I just want to get through the numbers and then I'll do the commentary after. So, packs. Something to keep in mind, these have a box topper. Box toppers are going for $105. Pack price, $31.65, which equates to $759.60 plus the box topper. That's going to be basically $860, right? $860 warrants opening a box and selling the packs. Right? There's 24 packs plus a box topper, so that's going to be $112.50 to ship every single pack individually, including the box topper. Even with the cost of shipping, it's way more than a box price, right? That is something that I like because that is something that people do, right? People will see, hey, I can make $100 more by selling the packs than having a sealed box and selling the sealed box. I'm going to do that. Right? What that does is decreases the supply of sealed boxes on the open market, and you can see large jumps in price. All right. Now this is, I think that's supposed to be 22% 1 year, 3 month, about 3%, 1 month. Basically it flatlined. All right. VIP packs, currently $168. The 1 year is 26%. Then it plateaued essentially. Right? So it went way up and then plateaued. That's basically the trend for all of these. It spiked really high and plateaued. The reason for that, as you probably are aware of, Mana Crypt was banned, right? That's when these flatlined, okay? The demand for the set significantly decreased. We have not yet seen an impact on price because, as you can see, it's basically flatlined, like I keep saying. Sound like a broken record at this point, but it is not great. Demand is not great right now. For sale, we have 84 VIP packs, 26 sellers. So this set, very interesting. I do want to save the bit about Mana Crypt for the end. I'm going to tie both of these in together because, as you know, Commander Legends also had Jeweled Lotus banned. And I want to tie those together. So I'm saving that tidbit for the end. But if we're looking at this set, we've got Force of Will, great card, right? Mana Crypt, Mox Opal, Chrome Mox, and then you have another Mana Crypt, and you have, because of the box toppers, there are a lot of high value cards in this set. I just listed them off. I didn't even write down the name, but there's the next cards after Chrome Mox, which is 136. You have 128, 100, 85, 84, 84, 78, 63, 61. All right? A lot of high value cards in this set, which is why it's expensive, of course. But the thing I want to note here, which is good for this Masters set compared to some of the other Masters sets. If you've seen a couple of my previous videos, I was talking about the Masters sets older than this one that don't have box toppers. Basically, all of the good cards in those sets have been reprinted in better, fancier, rarer, more desirable versions. And so every Masters set older than Double Masters is basically garbage at this point. But this set, Double Masters, has so many good cards, they haven't even reprinted a fraction of the good cards in this set, right? They reprinted the top two, being Force of Will and Mana Crypt. They had reprints, and then of course they banned Mana Crypt as well. But aside from those two, there's a ton of good cards in this set that still have value, and it's going to be a very long time before Wizards is even able to reprint the crap out of this set, of the cards in this set, to a point where these boxes start going down. So the question becomes, because these are so high, how much room does it have to grow? Because that's something you want to think about as well, is how much of a return can you get? Because these had a large spike earlier, a few months ago. And now it's at a point where it has plateaued. But, there could be some cards that are going to be unbanned. You know what I mean? So these boxes are expensive. You might not get a huge percentage return, but even 10% on $650 is $65. So already you could, sell one box of this for a 10% profit and make way more than on Jumpstart, like I was talking about a few minutes ago, right? So Double Masters, definitely a hold if you have it. I would say a very cautious buy. Same case for Ikoria. It's a little bit resistant to reprints, not for the same reasons as Ikoria, but just because of the sheer number of good cards in this set, which is why it's a little bit resistant to reprints, because there's no way Wizards is going to be reprinting every good card in this set anytime soon. So definitely hold if you have it. A very cautious buy. I would say it would be, your safest bet would just be to hold for now. I do see some gains with this set, but not huge gains, all right? So moving on to Commander Legends. Box price, $404 is the current market price. However, lowest current listing, $492, which is quite a large jump. And something I want to mention is, if I'm remembering correctly, all-time high for these boxes is a little bit under 600. Because I'm remembering somewhere way in the back of my brain a few years ago, Rudy was talking about how these boxes were going to be like the first ones, because they were like $600. These would be the first ones going over 1,000. Obviously not the case. But I do remember the all-time high of these being roughly $600. All right. 1 year return, negative 11%, 3 month, 0.87, 1 month, 1.88. There has been 10 of these sold though in the last month. Product available, there's only 36 of these on Tcgplayer. If you know about this set, this product was notoriously underprinted, which is surprising for Wizards of the Coast. This set was actually very underprinted, the collector boxes specifically. Now, the draft boxes, they had several reprints of those, but the collector boxes were very underprinted, notoriously underprinted, right? 36 boxes available, 13 sellers. All right, now we're looking at packs. Market price, 41, which would equate to 492, which is what we're seeing there, which looks good. But lowest listing is 46, which is then 552. Now actually, it's barely enough of a difference that with shipping calculated in, they would basically break even, whether you sold it as a box or as packs, because of shipping every pack individually, right? So it's not high enough to warrant opening a box in order to sell the packs, but it is a pretty large price difference between the equivalent number of individual packs and a sealed box, right? 1 year, -15, 3 month, almost 9%, 18 boxes, or 18 packs rather, 18 packs sold in a 90-day period. 1 month, 4% increase, 5 packs sold, which is actually less than boxes. An interesting thing there, which part of it could have to do with this, right? Because, you know, people are seeing, hey, I can make more money buying a box, selling the individual packs, right? So they do that. That could be part of the reason why the demand for sealed boxes is actually higher than individual packs. Now, product on the market, 52 packs, very low. Number of sellers, only 7, a single digit number of sellers. You know, for Pokemon, that would be not uncommon at all for a set this old. But for Magic the Gathering, extremely uncommon. Now, I want to point out the fact that Jeweled Lotus is in this set. Now, this is something that I was contemplating for a very long time, because when you're looking at the numbers, a lot of these things add up to it being a very good set, a set that has potential to increase, right? Because we are looking at a box price of 400, lowest listing 492, all-time high closer to 600, right? So even if these boxes only go back up to their all-time high, that's quite a bit of money. $100 a box, right? And these collector boxes obviously are significantly smaller than draft boxes, all right? So easier to store. That's the point I'm trying to make there. You can store a lot of these and ship them in much smaller boxes as well. So all of these things are pointing to buy. However, Jeweled Lotus is in this set. Now, Jeweled Lotus obviously was just banned. And when that happened, prices for basically all variants dropped anywhere from 30 to 60%. Most of them came back up a little bit after their initial crash. But just for instance, the thing I want to mention specifically about this, they have reprinted Jeweled Lotus. However, this is the original printing. Now, different from other Masters sets where I keep making the point of they just keep reprinting them. In other Masters sets, those aren't the original printings, right? So that already is a reprint, and they've reprinted it again at least once, probably multiple times since, right? But this is the original printing. Now, the original printing does give it some intrinsic collectability value. And in fact, I do want to mention that the highest variant of Jeweled Lotus, aside from the textured one, because that one's like $400, or actually not anymore because it crashed, just like every other variant. But aside from the textured one, which has extreme artificial rarity, right? And I'm not going to get into artificial rarity in this video, but you know, the textured one has extreme artificial rarity. So of course that one's going to be more. But original printing is the next most expensive after that. The extended art foil is currently $236. So this extended art foil is the second most expensive, even after it's been reprinted, right? So that does give it some intrinsic value. Now, what I want to say about both of these sets in reference to the bans is I don't see Wizards of the Coast keeping those cards banned. But the question is, are they going to... So they're going to stay banned up until Wizards decides they want to reprint them again, essentially, right? The question is, what is the time gap between when it is unbanned and when the reprint happens? If that gap is large, you could see both of these sets go up very quickly, right? If that gap is large enough. Now, if they unban it and then 2 months later, they come out with spoilers for the next Masters set and it has Jeweled Lotus or Mana Crypt in it, then that dampens things a little bit, right? That's going to decrease the demand for it. So again, Double Masters, a very cautious buy. If you don't have it, don't feel bad about not having any. Don't feel pressured to pick any up. Commander Legends, there's some very good indicators of large upside. And given the fact that probably at some point, Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus are going to be unbanned, that's another point in the, positive column, right? But the only reason that Wizards would unban those cards is because they want to reprint them again. And if they reprint them again immediately after unbanning the cards, then that might not have much of an effect on these sets. Whereas if the gap is significantly large, that's going to increase demand for the cards. The cards are probably going to go back up to what they were before the ban, roughly. And that's going to put upward pressure on these. So I would say at least hold for the time being. If you have it, hold it. I would not sell these. I have some of both of these sets, and I'm not planning on selling them. But I'm also not getting large quantities of either, right? This is a set with, it's kind of in the balance, right? There's good and bad when you're trying to really read into it. Am I overthinking it? Probably. But, my take is I'm not saying these are a screaming buy. There are other sets that are a screaming buy. So make sure to subscribe because I'm going to get to those eventually. So because there are other sets that are a screaming buy, I would say maybe don't buy these. They're not bad to have. Hold them if you got them. But don't feel any kind of pressure to buy these. All right. So make sure to subscribe. I'm doing this with every set more recent from these sets, right? I'm basically planning on doing all the way, every collector box and some like reprint sets all the way to current. So make sure to subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next video.